Now that said, the recording will be shared out to your Zoom admins internally at the University of West Indies, and they will be distributing it to all of you after the session has finalized. So again, please keep that in mind. We are recording. And that said, because we are recording, I ask that everyone stay on mute. And if you do have any questions, to put those into the chat that is located at the bottom left of your Zoom window. Now, I am the only one doing the training today, and we have over 95 people on the training, so I may not answer your questions right away. If I don't answer it, please don't be offended. It means that I'm just planning on answering it at the end of the session when we have about 10 minutes to go over any other questions that may be outstanding or anything that may require a little bit more of a demo. Now, that said, we have set aside the full hour for today's training. The plan is in the first 45 minutes, we'll go over 3 main topics. The first is going to be how to run your Zoom meeting. So how to use audio, video, screen share, breakout rooms, recordings, etc. That's the first topic. Is going to be how to run a Zoom meeting. The second is going to be how to set up your configurations, your account, so that moving forward, all of the meetings are set up in a way that you would like. And then the third and last is going to be how to schedule your Zoom meeting. So again, those are 3 topics that we'll be covering in the first 45. Those 3 topics are how to run your Zoom meeting, how to configure your account, and how to schedule your own meetings as well. After the first 45 minutes, 50 minutes, the last 10 will be set aside for any additional questions that I did not answer throughout the training or anything that you want to see demoed again. So if you do have questions, please feel free to stick around until the end. As a reminder, we are recording, so if you have to pop out, pop back in, do not worry, no need to let me know. You can just go ahead and do that, and we will be sending out the recording so that you can view the entirety of the presentation later on. Now that said, again, any questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. I will be answering them as we go and at the end of the session. And if possible, please stay on mute unless I say, hey, it's okay to get yourself off mute if you want to explain a little bit further that question, etc., whatever the case may be. So again, we are recording, so please stay on mute. And let's start off with our first topic, which is how to run your Zoom meeting. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and start a screen share. Now I'm going to give you guys a heads up. This screen share is a reversed version of my screen. So it may look a little odd. It may look like, hey, that's my screen, but it's actually not my screen. Just know that it's a shared version of my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and start that off. And all of you now should be seeing my Zoom window. So you'll be seeing that it's Friday, March 18th at 12 o'clock Colorado time. And from here, we're going to go ahead and talk about everything that you need to know in order to be a host to a Zoom meeting. And first and foremost, the first thing we need is audio. You need to be able to speak to your participants. So if you are the host of a meeting or if you are a participant, either way, your audio options are going to be located at the bottom left. You'll see that there's a little icon with a microphone, and if it's not with a red line through it, that indicates that people can hear you. So a little red line indicates that you are muted. If not, that means that people can hear you. You can see that it's going up and down, indicating that audio is flowing, if you will. Now, most of us have already figured out how to do audio, just covering that for basis processes, right? However, this little tiny up caret that you're seeing right here gives you additional options that you may or may not be aware of. So let's go ahead and click on that. And this little tiny up caret next to your audio is your microphone options, your speaker options, and if you're not sure which one to select, you can always test that speaker and microphone too, and it will play audio for you. It will allow you to speak, and you'll be able to say, yes, I can hear it, or no, I can't. So that said, if you have more than one microphone, headset, whatever the case may be associated with your computer, and you want to switch those up for some reason in a meeting, all you have to do is click on that little up caret, select your microphone, your speaker. If you're not sure which one to select, you can test that speaker and microphone as well. My apologies, not sure what happened there. Okay, let's continue on. Let's go ahead and click on that little up caret there, and you'll see that you also have the option to switch to a phone call if you would prefer, especially if you're not on Wi-Fi. It could be spotty based off of the internet that you are using, so you could dial in on a phone call if you would prefer. And you will also have audio settings. When you click on audio settings, this will give you a pop-up where you'll be able to choose from this left-hand column anything that you would like to change actively in a Zoom meeting. Now, we did select the little audio option and went to audio settings, so it automatically dropped us in audio, but we do have additional settings that you can play with here. Here you can test those speakers. You can have separate audio devices to play ringtones simultaneously. So if you have a headset like mine, you can still have it ring on your computer versus on your headset so that if you're away from the room, you can hear it. You will have the suppression of background noise, which you can select depending on the type of background sounds that you may have. So if you're working, let's say from a coffee shop and it's a rather loud, maybe a high suppression noise option would be good for you. But if you're working from home, maybe a low faint background noise is also good, or you can set it to auto, meaning that the system is recognizing the amount of background noise that you have and automatically adjusting for that. Not only do we have suppression for background noise, but you also have different options as well. One of my favorite ones being the press and hold down the spacebar key to temporarily unmute. This is a really good one. It allows you to easily use the spacebar key to temporarily unmute yourself, say what you need to say, take your finger off of the spacebar key, and then you are remuted again, making it a very clean and precise way of connecting with people. So those are your audio options. When you go to the little video area and click on the little up caret, same options here, right? You have different cameras. You have the ability to blur the background so people can't quite see where you are, but you still have some sort of background. And then you can also choose any type of virtual background as well that you would like to add. So as you can see here, I click on virtual backgrounds. It's going to give me a few different options, including video filters, which can make it a little bit fun. But you can go from anywhere from no background, blur background, or any type of background that you would like to upload. So you can see here, I can easily just switch those out depending on what it is that I would like to push forward. So that said, those are your backgrounds. You can even use one of the apps to add information about you. I will show you guys how to do that towards the end of this first part of the training, which are the apps. So again, the background with your name, your location, all of that can be added later. So with video, with audio, those are the two main important things, right? As long as you can get on audio, you are pretty much there. But obviously, as the host of the meeting, as the person that is calling the meeting, aka your class or whatever the case may be, you are responsible for the security of your meeting. If you are the host, if you called the meeting, you are responsible for the security of your meeting. Now, Zoom gives you all of the tools to make your meeting secure. So I want to make sure that we go through every single one of them so you're familiar with the controls that you and only you as the host have over your meeting. So let's go ahead and look at our security button, which is located at the bottom left. When you click on the security button, you'll see a few different options that you can choose from. One of my favorites is locking down the meeting. If I lock down the meeting, no one else can join, even if they have the link, the password, whatever the case may be. This meeting is now locked, and even if somebody tries to come into the meeting and they have the link, they cannot get in. Now, as the host, you have the ability to turn that on or off at your leisure. So if you want to say something confidential, you lock that meeting down, you guarantee that who's in, who's out, and unlock it whenever you need. So you have a control to make that change. No one else can but you. You are the host. Going back to the security button, not only do you have the ability to lock your meeting, you also have the ability to enable and disable waiting room. So I've just enabled it. Most of you, when you arrived, I believe it was about 60 of you, were still in the waiting room before we got started. So thank you everyone for being on time. I really appreciate that. But for those of you that arrived just on time or maybe a couple minutes after, you probably came straight into the meeting. You didn't hit the waiting room. Now that was me saying, hey, I'm not going to recognize everyone name by name. I'm just going to let everybody in and make sure that controls are settings. The settings controls are set in a way that if somebody were to get in that didn't mean to be here, I can control it. So going back to the security button, enabling that waiting room means that anyone that hits your meeting, if they have the link, if they have the passcode, they are hitting the waiting room and they cannot get in until you accept them one by one, or you hit the big button that says admit all. Now that's a really great way of keeping control of who comes into your meetings. Of course, yes, there could be the possibility that you don't, just like me, I don't know all of your names one by one. So I don't really know if you're part of the university or not. So I'm just letting everyone in. And then I have these controls right here that allows me to control how you interact with my meeting. Allow participants to share screen, chat, rename themselves, unmute themselves, start video, and annotate are all controls that you will have. Aha, so we have somebody entering the waiting room. You can see here, I'm going to go ahead and admit Andrea, and you can easily do that one by one, or you can hit the participants button and admit people with that waiting room. But going back to that, allowing participants to share screen, chat, rename themselves, unmute, start or stop video, and annotate are controls that you will have as the host. So when you click on that security button, you can say, hey, in this meeting, I don't want anyone sharing their screen but me. So you can turn that off. Now, if one of you tries to share your screen, you'll see that you cannot do that because I've turned it off and I can turn it on whenever I want. I've allowed you to chat. I've allowed you to rename yourselves, unmute yourselves, and start video. Here's somebody else entering our waiting room. I'll go ahead and say admit. And now I'm going to turn it off so that it doesn't keep on bothering us. But I've disabled the waiting room. Now anybody else that comes in will not hit that waiting room. So these are the controls that you have over your participants, especially if you're having a meeting in which you don't know who the people are that should be there. I recommend turning off screen share, maybe possibly chat, renaming, unmuting, and starting video if that's not something that you're comfortable with. Once you know everybody that's in your meeting, it's more okay to allow for these things to happen. But it's up to you and it's your controls and what you're comfortable with. So again, if you are the host of the meeting, if you called the meeting, you have these controls over your participants. Now, I don't think this will ever happen to any of you, but in the event that it does, I want you to know what other controls you will have. If somebody were to get in your meeting and you have screen share turned on and you have video abilities turned on and someone is being disruptive to your meeting, you have the ability to click on security, click remove participant, and a list of everybody that is in your meeting will be listed. You can easily click on that person's name and click remove. That person will be taken out of the meeting and they will not be able to come back even if they have the link or the passcode or the passcode. But please keep in mind that this is for removing people that are being disruptive, not because the person doesn't know how to end their meeting. This is something that you should only use if someone is being disruptive because it will notify Zoom security to look into that IP address so that measures can be taken. So again, please be careful with that. Under your security button, you have the ability to remove a participant that is being disruptive. When you click on that, you'll click remove on that person and they will be taken out, will not be able to come back in, and they will be notified to Zoom security. So only use it if somebody's being disruptive. Going back to the security button here, and the last but not least of options is this red option that you see here. It says suspend participant activities. So if you get super flustered and you're like, man, someone is sharing something that they shouldn't, I want to stop it, I'm not sure who it is that's sharing, you can suspend participant activities. By clicking on suspend participant activities, all video, audio, screen share, annotation, everything, all of these things that are listed here, all are turned off automatically until you want to allow for things to come back online, if you will. So if you learned anything today, the one thing I want everyone to be aware of is that you as the host have full control of your meeting and you can lock the meeting down, you can turn on or off the waiting room, you can allow participants to do any of these things or turn them off. And if all else fails, you can always remove a participant and or suspend the activities of everyone that is in that meeting. That is your security button, the little shield, and that will give you that control. Only the host has that control, and only the host is the person that can make changes to it. Now, that said, we have a couple of other things that you as the host have control over. Now, you'll see here that we have a participant button. participant button, two little icons of a person, and the number that is listed there is the amount of people that are connected into your meeting. When you hit on participants, when you hit participants, you'll see that you have a whole list of everyone that is connected to your meeting. You'll have the ability to ask people to unmute, and you'll have the ability to ask people to start their video. By asking someone to start video or audio, it gives a pop-up on their end that says your host, blah, 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 the name, wants you to unmute or start your video. Do you want to do it? And they will have the option to say yes or no. They can always have the option to say no. Now, another thing that you can do is you can turn people's videos off or audio off individually if you would like. So somebody's off video, soft, it has their audio on and their video on, and they, I don't know, walk away to go deal with their dogs that are barking and it's disruptive for the rest of the group. You as a host have the ability to turn off video and audio on anyone. You can't turn it on for privacy reasons, obviously. You can ask to start a video and you can ask to start audio, but you cannot turn anything on for them. But you can turn things off. That way you don't have to wait for the person to come back that's dealing with their dogs to be like, yeah, that was disruptive. So you can easily mute people individually. Now, anyone that is off mute will always be listed towards the top of your list here, so it makes it very easy to find. So if you're hearing dogs barking in the background, whatever the case may be, hit participants, look at the top of your list. Anyone that is off mute will be listed at the top, and you can easily mute that person. A couple of other things that you have the ability to do is to make somebody else a co-host. Now, you can only make someone a co-host once the meeting has started. Once the meeting has started and the person that you want to make a co-host joins, then you select that person's name and you say, make a co-host. Now, a co-host is basically someone that can do almost everything that you can do with some limitations. So the co-host can start the recording, the co-host can change the chat preferences, the screen sharing preferences, but will not be able to make changes to the security options. You as a host are the only one that have control over security, but a co-host can help with other things that are admin-like, such as hitting the record button, pausing it, launching a poll, all the things that we'll go over in just a few minutes. But again, wanted to let you know that you can create a co-host, someone that can co-manage the meeting with you once the meeting has started and once that person has joined the meeting. A couple of other things you can do is you can allow multi-pin. So if you want a meeting to have, let's say, you and your co-host pinned as the main thing. So right now we're looking at everyone. If I wanted to pin just a few people, I could say allow for multi-pin and I could pin myself and then pin Ahmed, Lisa, whoever I want, pin a bunch of people. And those are the people that are your main video feeds if you would like. You can also pin people individually if you would like, if you just want that person, but you are in control of that again as the host, individual changes. Now you'll notice here that again, under the participant button, I have an invite button. So that means that I can randomly invite anyone I want into this meeting as long as they're part of my organization. In my case, it would be Zoom organization, but for you, it would be anybody that's part of your organization in Zoom. When you hit invite, you'll get a pop-up that shows you the names of all of the people that are in your organization. You can easily select that person's name, then click invite, and it will ring on their phone, their computer, whatever they have connected to Zoom. So this is a way to call people in at random. Obviously, we would prefer that you send out invites, let the people know ahead of time. But if I had a question that I wanted to give to Nicole and I wanted to bring her into this meeting, all I have to do is go to participants, click invite, and it will show me everyone internally. I select that person's name, click invite, and it will ring on their side and it will say, the name of the host is inviting you into this meeting. Would you like to accept or decline? So you will have that ability with your contacts that are internal. You will have at the top here the ability to select email and connect it to an email, and it will say this person's inviting you to join a meeting in progress, and they will have the option to connect to that. Obviously, then you have to hope they see the email in time. Or if it's easier for you, you can also click on copy invite link or copy full invitation if you think that they would prefer to dial in, and you can iMessage, WhatsApp, send it via email, whatever you want. It is now copied onto your clipboard and you are ready to send it to whoever you would like to call in at that moment. So again, Try to invite people with anticipation so that they know it's happening. But if you are in a meeting in which you need someone else to join you for expertise reasons, whatever the case may be, hit participants, invite, and you can invite that person in the moment. Obviously, they have the option to accept or decline, but they will have that option. You notice that I have on blue mute all. We are a large group. We are now at 100 and almost 20 people. So I put everybody on mute all to begin, just to make sure that there was not background noise when we started the recording. You also have the More button here, and this allows you to make small changes such as muting participants upon entry, playing sounds when participants join or leave if you want to be aware of that. And you will have additional options that we've seen before, such as locking your meeting, enabling your waiting room, and additional participation controls. So that way you don't have to go back to security and make those changes if you want to do it directly from the participants area. Okay, moving on from participants, going on to chat. I don't think we need to talk about chat. I think we all know how to chat. Just know that as a host of the meeting, you have full control on if you want this to be available to your participants or not. So if you are a host and you're like, yep, I don't want them to chat at all, you can turn it off from here, or you can turn it off from your security button as well. Now here's a big one, screen share. It's the only button that you see that has color in here. All the other ones are grayed out because the most important one, I think, aside from audio, is your ability to screen share. By clicking on screen share, you will get a pop-up that looks like this, and it will show you all the programs that you already have open. And if you have more than one monitor, it will show you desktop 1, desktop 2, those are your monitors, right? And this allows you to very easily share out content to your participants. Now, the probably easiest one to do, especially if you're switching from one program to another constantly, is selecting the desktop that you are using to do that. This allows you to see any program that is on that window at that time. That also includes pop-ups. So if you have pop-ups, be careful with those. But if you want to share just one piece of information, let's say just your PowerPoint presentation, select that PowerPoint, then click share. And even though you have pop-ups, even though you have other programs open, the only thing your participants will see is that PowerPoint. So again, to share your screen, or for any participant to share their screen, they click on share screen. They're going to get the pop-up that allows you to select either your entire monitor. If you have more than one, there will be more than one listed, individual programs that you may have open, and you have an option for whiteboard as well. The option for whiteboard allows you to draw and collaborate with everybody else that is on your meeting. So by selecting whiteboard, clicking share, everybody will see a whiteboard in which one can draw, they can use different types of stamps, they can collaborate in writing, whatever you may want. And this is something that everyone can collaborate on, or you can control it down and say, no, just the host, just me, wants to be able to draw. So those are things that you can do with the shared screen option. And again, to do that, you're going to click on share screen. You're going to get a pop-up that looks like this. It's going to give you the option of individual screens, individual programs, whiteboard, and under the advanced option, you will have additional things such as becoming one with your slideshow presentation, which is in beta right now, a portion of your screen, just the audio. So if you want to have a meeting that starts maybe 5-10 minutes after the original start time, you can have music playing so it's not awkward that everybody's just sitting around. And if enabled by your admins, you will have additional options to share files as well. You can easily share files by going into your chat area and dragging and dropping, but you can also share active files as well. So again, that is all under the screen share. Now here's the piece that comes down to just you as the host. The little up caret that you're seeing here allows you to say how many people can share at once, only one person, multiple people, and your advanced sharing options gives you a quick little pop-up that allows you to say, in this meeting, who can share? Only the host or all participants? Depending on how controlled you want that meeting to be, I would recommend maybe only the host, but if you want people to interact, maybe all participants is a better option. And again, this is something that you can easily make a change to and allow participants to screen share under security. Now let's move on to a couple of more fun things, a little less serious. We have the ability to record. So right now I'm recording this meeting. I'm recording it to the cloud. It shows a little cloud icon saying recording. And from here, I can pause or stop, or at the bottom, I can pause or stop the recording at any point in time. Now, when you hit record, it will record to your account. No one else will have access to it aside from your admins if they want to. But you will be given, if you record to the cloud, a link with security settings, which we'll go over once we get to our settings area. And you'll be able to share that out if it was recorded to the cloud. If it's recorded locally to your computer, then it's a little bit harder to share. So in that case, you would have to upload it to OneDrive or whatever it is that you use to share out content. So if you're looking to share the recording easily, I'd recommend recording it to the cloud. And when you hit record, it will give you the option of, do you want to record it to the cloud or do you want to record it locally? You choose whatever you want. And again, if you're looking to easily share it out, maybe to students, whatever the case may be, you're going to want to record to the cloud and then share it out that way. And it's recorded to your account. No one else has access to it unless you share it out. We'll go over configurations of that recording once we get to the configurations portion of our training. Now that's recording. A couple of other more fun things you can do is polls. Polls are something that you can create to interact with a larger group, such as this one. We're now at 121 people. If I were to say, hey, take yourself off mute and tell me how your weekend went, it could be mayhem. So one of the things that you will have to your disposal is the ability to create in the moment or prior to the meeting starting polls. Now, when you click on polls in the meeting actively starting right now, I can click create. It's going to bring me into my meeting and it's going to give me the option of giving that poll a question. And I'll have the option of making this question single choice or multiple choice. We do not have the option of write-in as at the moment, but it will be coming in the future. What are you doing this weekend? I can spell weekend. And you will have single, well, let's make this multiple since the weekend has a couple of days here. So hanging out, hanging out, house projects. Hopefully nobody selects this one, but work, travel, and let's call this other. So you'll have the option to create multiple questions and it can be either multiple choice or single. You can copy them, delete them, add additional questions. And these three little dots right here will allow participants to answer anonymously or not. So I'm going to select anonymous, click save, and now that question is added to this meeting. Now, again, what you're seeing here is what it would look like if you decided to create this meeting prior to it starting and creating polls prior. So again, I will show you how to get here in just a few minutes. But once you're in your online portal, you're going to go to meetings. You're going to find that meeting that you've created and you'll go to the bottom and you'll find the polls area. And from here, you can create up to 50 different questions for your poll prior to it being active. Obviously, I just showed you how to do it right in the moment. So I'm going to come back here and just going to make sure here that we are all on the same page. To share that poll out, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing in just a second here, but I'm going to show you. As the host or the co-host, I can hit poll. It's going to show me my polls. I'm going to go ahead and launch it. Click launch. But first, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to launch that poll. So all of you should be seeing that pop-up come up on your end. Please go ahead and start answering. Again, it's a multiple choice, so you can choose all the ones you want. And while you're all doing that on your screen, I will show you what I'm showing myself on my screen. As the host or co-host who launched the poll, I'm seeing how long the poll has been open with a countdown. I can see the percentage of you that have voted, not who, but the percentage. And right now, out of 117 people, I am seeing that 84 have voted. So please keep those coming. What's going to happen here is that once I have said, okay, yeah, the poll's been open long enough, we're good to go, I can stop that poll and I can choose to share the results with you or not. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like so far. So you see here, here's the counter, the count total, how many of you have voted and participated, and what's winning. So now I go ahead and say end poll, and I have the option to share my results with you or not. So I can just exit out of it or I can share those results. So by sharing those results, you now are all going to see those on your end too. Now, as the host of the meeting, you have the ability to go back and pull a report later from your online portal, which I'll be showing you in just a few minutes. So that's the poll. Again, you can create multiple, you can create them ahead of time or actively in the meeting, and it's a great way to interact with your participants, especially in a large meeting. Now, another fun thing that we can do is our breakout rooms. Again, another use case is a meeting such as this one in which we have a lot of people, and maybe we want to create smaller rooms in which discussions can flourish without everybody talking over each other. So for that reason, we've added to Zoom now for 3 or 4 years now, breakout rooms. This allows you to take a large room like this one and saying, okay, we have 118 participants per room. I'm going to go ahead and say 20 breakout rooms. And that's going to give me 5 to 6 people per room. I can assign people automatically, recommended in a large group, assign manually, or let participants choose a room. If you're dealing with students, I highly recommend against letting participants choose this room because then they all just go to the same room. So you can say we have 119 people. We're going to assign those automatically. It's 5 to 6 people per room. Or you can assign it manually, which again, large group, I wouldn't recommend that. But assigning manually, you can say create, and what you're going to get is a pop-up where you can select each room and say, okay, I'm going to rename this the cool room, for example. And then this one will be the, I can't think, it's Friday. The experts room, just to give it a name. And those names, you can create names or you can just keep them room 1, room 2, whatever you may want to do here. But then you go to assign and you just start selecting people that need to go to each room. So again, 5 to 6 people per room. And as you go start doing that, you can easily say, oh, I didn't mean to put, these two together because they have the same expertise. So I'm just going to go ahead and move them from one room to another, and it moves that person around. Or you can exchange people as well. So you can do that manually, or as I showed you before, you can do it as a random assignation. When you hit open all rooms, each person that is in this larger room gets invited to the room that you have assigned them. They go into those rooms and then they can only hear and interact with the people in each room. Heads up, if you are recording, the recording will only happen in the room in which the host goes. The recording is always following the host. If you move from the cool room to the experts room, the recording is going to have the cool room, then the experts room, but you cannot record individually each room. Heads up. You'll have the configuration key. You can recreate or add additional rooms if that's what you decide you want to do. So again, 2 great ways of interacting with your participants is with polls and with breakout rooms. Nonverbal, polls, breakout rooms, verbal. Another way to interact with a large group such as this one is your reactions. Your reactions allows you to have a reaction. So if you are running a meeting with a large amount of people and you don't want people randomly unmuting themselves, you can say, hey, raise your hand. And that's going to move anyone that's raised their hand to the top of your window. Same thing with your participants. It's going to show a little hand next to that person. And that will not go down. The little hand will not go down unless you, the host or co-host, lower it, or I, as the participant, lower my hand. Now the reactions come in temporary for a few seconds and then they disappear. So if you're looking to say, okay, can everyone hear me? Everyone give me a thumbs up. You can ask people to give you a thumbs up and then people do that. So this is a great way to interact with people. Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate that. So that you know that people are paying attention and that they can hear you and you don't have to be worried about maybe talking to infinity and beyond. Okay, those were our reactions. Last but not least, some questions have come in terms of apps. How do you put your name and your background? How do you create a timer? Those are questions that have come up. Those are all under apps that are created by third parties with Zoom. So again, third parties, they are not owned by Zoom. They are created by different programs such as Warmly. Warmly is the one that you can see here is putting my name and my location behind me. By selecting The apps that are predisposed to you here, you can play with those. I have a timer here. I have virtual backgrounds. And if you're looking for something and you don't know if it exists, you can go to the Discover area and you'll see all the different apps that are available to you to integrate with your Zoom meetings to make them more interactive, to make them more fun, to be more productive at the end of the day. So these are all third-party apps. So if they do not download to your system, it's because your admins have asked that you ask permission first. Because they are third parties for security reasons, your admins may want you to clear it with them before you do that. So that is your apps portion, and that is located at the bottom of your screen. And last but not least, if you are ending the meeting, if you are the host of the meeting, you are responsible for ending the meeting. Don't just say, okay, thank you guys, bye, and walk away, because it's going to leave your camera, your video on, and it's going to be open for people. So you are responsible for ending the meeting if you are the host. No one else can do that for you. So that said, we have finalized the first portion of our training, and that is how to actually be a host in Zoom. There's a lot that we have covered in those 38 minutes. So before we go to questions, I'm going to jump to our second topic, which is how to actually set up your meetings so that moving forward, everything is set up in a way that works for you. So for that, I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to go to my internet browser. Now this can be Google, it can be Chrome, it can be Firefox, Safari, whatever you would like. Either one is fine with us. But you're going to open up your internet browser and you are going to go to our page, which is zoom.us. And again, this can be from any browser. So you're going to go to zoom.us and you're going to get hit with our splash page. At the top right, you are going to see my account. Go ahead and click on that. It's going to ask you for your login information. And once you've logged in, you're going to see on the left-hand side your profile, your meetings, your webinars. Anything that you have will be listed here, including your settings, your analytics, and reports. So remember I said to you, hey guys, when you do a poll or a report, it will give you the information later. That's all going to be listed under there. Now, any change that you want to make to your account, either the photo that's presented, your name, your information, that is all done under your profile. Again, zoom.us profile. Next up, any meetings that you want to make changes to that you've already created, or if you want to create a meeting directly from here, you're going to go to your meetings tab. So remember I said, if you want to create polls ahead of time, you're going to go into your meetings tab, find that meeting, create a poll. That's where you're going to do it from. If you have the add-on product of webinars, it's going to be listed under your webinars. If not, it will give you a splash page that says you don't have access to webinars. Please work with your admin. And you will have your own personal settings. Now, we're not going to go over those because we are close in time, and also we would be here for an hour. But any security changes, any ways the meetings pop up and partake, you can make your own setting changes in here. So go ahead and click on settings. You'll see meeting settings, phone settings, etc. Make any changes you want. You can always come back here and change things as well. Now, any meeting that you host and you want to find analytics of who was there, how long they participated, when they joined, what poll information came out of that, all of that will be listed under your analytics and reports. And again, all of this is under zoom.us, logging into your profile. Okay, last but not least, in terms of creating your own meetings, let me just go ahead and sign out of this and do a test run with all of you. So I'm going to go ahead and log in to that. Oops, that's not correct. So I'm logging into my test account here. Okay, so to create a meeting, there's multiple ways you can create a meeting. You can create a meeting from your mobile device, from your tablet, from your computer, from your desktop application with Zoom. You can create a meeting pretty much from anywhere as long as you have access to Zoom. But starting off in the online portal, which we were just at, to create a meeting, you're going to go to your meetings tab and you're going to go ahead and click on schedule a meeting. From here, you will have the ability to give it a name, date, time, duration, time zone, is registration required or not, is it recurring? All of those options will be listed here. When you select registration is required, you'll have some options to select from. If you have certain meeting settings that you just want to use over and over again, you'll have the ability to use one of the templates that you've created if you want to. And you'll have security options as well, such as, yes, I want waiting room to be on to begin with, or yes, I want a passcode. These are your options when you create a meeting. These are the bare bones. When you click save, it's going to create that meeting for you, and you'll have the ability to connect it to your calendar of choice. Remember, I added a registration link. Well, in this case, there's a registration link. You can go ahead and edit any of the information listed here. And under that registration link, you will have the option to see who's registered. You will have the ability to go into email settings and say who this is from. All of that information will be listed. And you will also have the ability to add branding if you would require to do so. So those are how you schedule a meeting from the online portal. You also have the ability to schedule a meeting directly from your application in itself. The Zoom application, blue encased camera icon, when you click on that, it's going to give you the option to click schedule, and it will be very similar to what we just looked at. It's going to give you the option of a topic, date and time, passcode, waiting room, video on or off, audio options, and then selecting your calendar of choice and adding it there. You'll also have a drop down for advanced options such as how soon can someone join my meeting, interpretation. If you have multiple languages, know that you will have to have someone assigned to be the interpreter. It doesn't do it automatically, but we are working on the automatic piece at the moment. So you schedule a meeting, you connect it to your calendar, and it's good to go. You also will have your ability internally to schedule meetings, but you have the ability to do this from your application, from your online portal, mobile device, and tablets if you have those. Now we have finalized our training for today. We've covered 3 main topics. First one being how to run a Zoom meeting as a host. Second, configuration and settings. And then third was how to actually schedule your Zoom meeting. I know a few questions have come in via chat, so I'm going to go ahead and address all of those verbally and maybe with a demo if needed. And after we're done with those, I will say now if any verbal questions want to be asked, you can do that. So just hold off for a couple seconds. Let's make sure to get through those questions that are in chat, and then any verbal questions will be welcome. Okay, let me pull up their questions here. Okay, question came in pretty early on. Can you explain why we are seeing you in 2 windows? So 2 possible options there. It could be your settings that you have dual monitors turned on. So I'm going to go ahead and just demo how to turn that off. So if you turn on your Zoom application and you're seeing 2 individual windows, if you go to your little icon with your photo or your initials, you can go to settings. And in your settings under general, you're going to see use dual monitors. Turn that off if that was the case. So if that's what you were seeing, 2 different monitor like options with my video feed, then that was dual monitors. That's to help you envision things if you are a presenter. Turn that off if that was the case. If it was just that you were seeing my computer inside of your computer, that's because I was screen sharing a reversed screen share of my computer onto yours. So I'm not entirely sure which one it was, but if it was dual monitors, you were seeing it 2 different monitors, go to your application, go to your photo or your icons, and then you are going to hit settings. Okay, so just as a reminder, that is up here, settings, dual monitors. Turn that off under general. Okay, great question. Okay, question was, Zoom allows you to show videos. Do you have videos already downloaded in your Power presentation, for example? Yes. So either way, if the video is embedded in your PowerPoint, I'm sorry, let me stop sharing. If the video is embedded in your PowerPoint, you just share that PowerPoint. If the video is on your computer, you share the screen that you want to share it in, or just that application if you have it open. So as a reminder, sharing my screen here, when you click on share screen, you're going to get a pop-up, and that allows you to share individual monitors, individual programs. So let's say the video is embedded in your PowerPoint. or any other thing. Like, for example, if you have a YouTube video, you want to show it on Google, select Google, go to that YouTube page. Great question. Question was, can a participant be removed without them being banned from returning to the session? They would have to remove themselves. If you as a host remove them with that security button, they will not be able to come back to that meeting until you restart that meeting. So that's why we give everybody the option to leave at their own leisure. You're not kicking them out on their behalf. Okay, if you wish to share a file that is not open, do you have an option to browse and look for the file, or should you open the file window before to make it visible on the on the desktop? That's a really good question, and the answer is yes and no. So going back to our screen share option, when you click on screen share, again, if the program is already open on your computer, you select that program, you're good to go, you share it, right? If it's not, then you would have to go to files and then select that file system. But again, your admins have to have turned it on to allow for Zoom to go and get in your computer a file. Zoom only allows for anything that is on your screen that is already open to be created. And this is for security reasons. So your admins have to approve what file that is. Otherwise, what you would have to do is just stop your screen share, find that file, open it, then restart that screen share. And it's for security purposes for you that we don't allow Zoom to just go looking on things unless your admins have approved that file sharing format. Is the poll option available for the free basic Zoom package? I believe so. I don't think that's changed. If you haven't, please let your admins know that you need a paid version, but I'm pretty sure it's available for everyone. Can you set up the poll prior to the meeting? Yes, you can. All you have to do is just go to the Zoom online portal, select meetings, find that meeting, and create that poll. Is there a way for different individuals to record in each breakout room? Unfortunately not. The only way you would be able to do that is if you recorded locally to your computer, and you would have to give that person each individually a co-host ability. Are the apps available in basic or free packages? Again, super sure that yes, but I only train on paid accounts. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure apps are available for free accounts. It might depend on the app. Also know that those apps that are third parties may charge for them depending on what app it is. And that's a third party. It's not to do with Zoom, so it could be different depending on what Zoom application you have and what app you're trying to connect to. Is there a way to get a list of attendees? Yes, from your online portal. Log into your online portal and then select reports or analytics, and that will give you a list of attendees if you were the host of that meeting. Okay, a common question is, how do I keep my Zoom on top when I do a PowerPoint and presentation mode? It will depend on your setup, right? If you have multiple monitors, if you're on a laptop, how big the screen is. So what I would recommend is playing with those settings that I was showing you earlier. Let me just kind of demo that again so we can all see it. So going into the settings that might help you depending on your computer setup is going to your application, then going to settings. And as mentioned, one of the options is using dual monitors. If you have two monitors, this will allow you to keep your presentation on one and your entire Zoom people on the other, but that's if you have dual monitors. So you can play around with the settings here, and this might help you depending on your computer setup. And again, I don't know what your setup is, so just play around with those video settings and the other options as well in terms of screen share, etc. So play around with that. That might help depending on your situation. I also recommend connecting with your admins. They may be able to give you a better advice depending on if the setup you have is across the board for everyone. Yes, you will have access to the recording of this training. It will be sent out to your admins and they will distribute it internally. This is a great question from Alicia. Actually, I don't think I covered this, so thank you, Alicia. The question is, how do you share sound? Uh, if you are sharing sound, and now that I think about it, I did mention it, but very lightly. So to share sound, and that's a great question, it's very important. If you're going to share a video, let's say that's in your PowerPoint or a video that is on YouTube, you want to be able to share the sound with your participants as well. So if you select something that's on your computer, Google, Microsoft, whatever it might be, you're going to click on Share Computer Sound. This allows the audio that you are hearing on your headset or your computer to be shared out to your participants. If you don't do this, they'll only see the video and the images, but they won't hear it. Now, the thing that I'm pretty sure I did cover though was under advanced, you have the option to share your computer sound. So if you just want to see everyone, but you want them to hear music the same way you are, you can select share computer sound and then play whatever clip you have on your computer and they will hear it as well while everybody's still seeing each other. So again, if it's a video that you're trying to share, click on share computer sound, doesn't matter whatever program it is. And if you're sharing just the audio on your computer, select computer audio. Okay. How do I embed the meeting, excuse me, how do I embed the meeting in the course management software? Yep, thank you, Leroy. It's a follow-up question for Zoom in My Learning. A question again about the audio. Remember to select share audio and that will share out the audio to everyone. Can you browse for a file from Window Explorer? Yes, so if you're sharing your Window Explorer and it's in Windows Explorer and you're sharing your window with Windows, you can share that file, yes. How do you invite participants? Well, two ways, right? There was the way to do it directly from your invitation itself, depending on whatever way that you invite people, or if you're actively in the meeting and you are looking to invite someone, all you do is go to participants, invite, and it will allow you to either select a contact that's internal to the university, copy the link and send it out in whatever way you would like, or by email, selecting your email of choice. Is there a limitation of meeting times and free accounts? What is it? Good question. Again, I only cover stuff that is on paid accounts, but my understanding is that it is 40 minutes if there's more than 3 people in the meeting. But that's on free accounts only. If you have a paid account, you do not have a limit on the amount of people. Well, there is, it's 300. Meetings. Thank you for everybody that's been jumping in and answering questions. I really appreciate it. What is the maximum number of participants that can be accommodated? Again, it depends on your license type. If it's a free account, it's going to be 100. If it's a paid account, it's going to be 300. Ooh, really good question. How to prevent students from sharing info as in an exam? Well, the best way, not in Zoom, obviously, because I don't know how your students could be communicating via Slack or Cheat Chat or whatever, but in Zoom, if you want to ensure that people are not sharing information with each other, you're going to go to chat. Let me bring up the chat here. Give me 1 second. You're going to go to chat. You're going to go to these 3 little dots and you're going to say participants can chat with no one or just the host and co-host. So again, I don't know how to manage it outside of Zoom, but when it comes to inside of Zoom, the only way that they could be interacting is with that chat box. Okay, let's see what other questions do we have here. Can you demo getting the file from Windows Explorer, please? Unfortunately, no, I cannot, but I can show you with Google if you are opening up something with Google. So you open up Google, in this case, imagine it's Windows Explorer and you're going to go to your drive or wherever it is that you have it and open up the file from there. If you are sharing your window and it's something that you can bring up on that window, you can share it. I don't have a Windows Explorer, so I don't know if there's something specific that you were mentioning, but with the internet, as long as you are sharing that window, as long as you are sharing that Windows Explorer or Google Chrome, whatever case may be, you can open up whatever file it is and share it out visually. Okay, I think I answered all the questions in chat. They are all really good and very thoughtful. So thank you so much for those questions and for making sure that we're all on the same page here. At this point, we have a couple more minutes. So I would like to invite anyone that would have verbal questions that they may want to ask, because maybe it's too hard via chat, you want to explain it verbally. At this point, if you would like, feel free to unmute yourself and ask that question. You can also raise your virtual hand and I will call your name, or you can continue to put them in chat if you're feeling a little bit more shy.
Hello, Jeline Matthew from the department. Hi, thank you for your presentation. Very clear, easy to follow. I'm just asking for clarification. I know that we are migrating to Zoom, so I was wondering if there will be an automatic ability to put your Zoom and schedule your recurring classes in my e-learning through Zoom. So just go, like for example, right now we're using BBC, and when we want to schedule a virtual classroom through BBC, we just go to my e-learning, get the BBC button, click on it, set up our schedule it and so on. Will we be able to do the same thing with Zoom? Go to my e-learning, click on Zoom, I hope it will be there, and then just schedule the classes for the teaching via Zoom. Yeah, please.
My understanding is yes, but if any of the admins are on that could maybe add a little bit more color, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Tamara, for the session. The quick answer to this is yes, you can, because the API, the Zoom API, is actually mirrored within my e-learning as a activity. All right, so you should be able to do that.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Leroy. Okay, there's a note that says that you missed the one with optimized video. So I'm scrolling. If anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask that question, they can until I find the question that I somehow missed somewhere. Optimize video. We do need a search button in here.
Yeah, I think the question is referring to when you share your screen and there's two little options when you based on sound.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you meant. Okay, let's see. So sharing my screen, when you go to share screen and you get that pop-up, you mean these two, right?
I think that's what the person was referring to.
Okay. So great question. Optimizing for video clip is when you're looking to share a video that's long, let's say more than a minute, probably, like anything that's going to be long that you want people to pay attention very closely. It is recommended that you say optimize for video clip, because this will pull extra bandwidth on your participants' end to ensure that the video is not choppy. And this is something to be careful with. If you know that a lot of people are joining from their mobile devices and they're on the go, this may not be a good idea, because they're on world Wi-Fi or whatever it may be. But if you know that people are at home and they have their own Wi-Fi and it's going to be fine, I recommend that, especially for a long video, a heavy video. But if it's just one of those quick blurbs of a video, then it's not necessary. But this can help in terms of quality by pulling extra bandwidth from your participants to ensure that the video is not choppy. So I hope I answered that correctly. Okay, so a question did come to me that I think was for Leroy. It came in as a direct message, so I'm just going to read it out to you, Leroy. It says, when will our Zoom accounts be activated?
Okay, so the Zoom accounts will be activated on the 2nd of May. All persons, all faculty, right now we're doing a pilot. And not everyone is in the pilot, but we're doing the pilot because we want to simulate some of the support requests and the workflow as well as the implementation. So beginning on the 2nd of May, you should all receive an email, and there is, you should receive instructions as to how to activate your Zoom via the email. Clear instructions will be provided in the email.
Thank you, Leroy. A question came in about original sound. It's a direct message, so I just went ahead and put the support article on how to use it. It's mostly used for people that are, DJing and playing sounds from different locations into one meeting. It's kind of a more intense thing, so I don't think it's necessary for everyone to know, but know that, and I'll show everyone this right now. Know that from any Zoom page, you can come in to our Zoom support center. From here, you can search keywords like what I just did was I literally just did original sound, searched for that, and it gave me the answer to what I was looking. So you're going to find a lot of things that you're like, what is this? And if you're really interested, you can use our support articles to figure that out. There's a lot that Zoom has to offer, and a lot of times it's for different industries. A lot of times it's for different type of personas. So I wanted everyone to be aware that from any Zoom page, you can access our Zoom support site. You'll have your getting started, your search bar, and you will also have audio and video options for technical issues. And if all else fails, you can also access our technical support group. Oh, I did change the settings. Okay. Great question is, do you get chat notifications when you're screen sharing? If you allow for Zoom chat notifications, then yes. If not, then no. So you get to choose, right? So when I share my screen, I'm sharing my entire screen. So anything that pops up here will show up unless I have Zoom open in a separate window somewhere else. Now you do have the ability with your settings to go into your settings and say, hey, I don't want Zoom to ever be shared. So if you say, I don't want that, you can just come in here into your general settings and say, I don't want Zoom to be shown. So you get those options in here. So again, it's up to you and your settings and how you want Zoom to work for you. Okay, I think, I say this cautiously, I think I answered all the questions in chat. If I did not, please stick around and let me know. If not, if you are good to go, if you're zoomed out, I know that we're 4 minutes over, so feel free to drop off. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to the admins at the University of West Indies for helping make sure that this training happened. Without them, this would have never been possible, so yay, thank you so much, especially for helping me out with questions. I really appreciate that. And again, this session was recorded. We will be sending out a copy after it has processed, and I have sent it out to your admins and they will send it out internally to you. So again, everyone, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your attention on a Friday. I know that's hard, so thank you so much. And if you need anything else, the Zoom support team is always available to help. We have agents all over the world 24/7, Saturdays and Sundays as well. So always feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help. Thank you so much for your time. And I will stick around for a couple more minutes.
Thank you. All right, bye.
Thank you. So yeah, I'll stick around for a couple more seconds, see if there's any questions that come in. And if not, feel free to drop off. Thank you so much. Have a great Friday and weekend. I think we all deserve that. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.